Hello.
Hey man, what's up? How are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah. Thanks for
So,
having me.
I'm glad to hear that, man. So, yeah, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you taking time out of your day
Yeah, of
to
course.
come in. So, as you know, I do ask a little bit of questions, and chat does as well. So, one of the first questions I'd like to ask you is, can you tell us a little bit about your story, like how did you come into all of this? You know,
Sure. So I started in Chivalry 1. I got the game when I was like 15, and I played it now and then. Like,
mhm,
when you have time when you're a kid. But then later down the line, I got into a clan, or a team, whatever. Back then it was more of a roleplay clan,
mhm,
the Order of the Sun Cross.
yeah,
I don't know, most people don't know it. But I got into scrims that way, and that way I started to become better, get known into the scene, and I hosted a few events early on then.
mm,
Then I dipped out of the scene for like 2-3 years because I had a lot of personal stuff going on.
yeah,
And then when mordhau released, I came back, made my own team. Through that connections, I became um, part of the team hosting the old competitive hub.
mhm,
Then I joined Janitus,
mhm,
and then I became an official moderator, and now I'm community manager for Gearwood's upcoming game.
yes, at Mortem,
Yes.
which that must be very exciting, I'd imagine.
hmm Yeah, it really is. I always wanted to work into a gaming company
Mhm,
since I was like 12,
yeah,
so I already kind of accomplished my goals for
yeah,
that.
that's great,
Yeah.
man. Congratulations on that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Thanks.
So, you got into Mordhau, you said, by like when the game released, because you were already kind of integrated in the Shiv community. Would you say there's any major difference from like the way people were in Shiv to how people are in Mordhau? From now, from then to now, has that mentality swifted?
To a part, yes. I think people were more serious back then. For example, a lot of if there was an event, if there was a scrim, people would show up, do their best, and
Mm,
all that. And in mordhau, it is a bit less,
yeah,
which I have really noticed when I was doing events. A lot of teams just didn't show up, didn't bother,
yeah,
um, stuff like that. So yeah, there is a big gap in motivation.
yeah. I'd
Back in
imagine.
Shiv, people did it for the honors, for the points, for whatever. And here in
Yeah,
mordhau, yeah, there's a there's a different drive. Of course, it's also a different age, I guess. New game, new way of things work, bigger community. But there is a big difference. Sadly, some toxicity is still there. It was
yeah,
in
yeah.
Shiv, and it still is here in mordhau. But then again, if you get competitive players into the same room, there will always be saltiness and will always be toxicity.
That's true. There's
So
always
yeah,
competition in that sense, right? So I
yeah,
think it's that is not surprising. It's the same kind of thing with any small game that doesn't really have an esport, because there's no incentive to play nice and act nice if there's nothing on the line. You know what I mean? Like if you can't get thrown off the team for being toxic, unless you're
yeah.
obviously like a tumor to the team being toxic towards them, then obviously right then you might get yeeted, but people.
Mhm.
I think there's a big difference as well between banter and like banter between teams, and then it like it becomes like way too serious. People taking stuff personal and like vendettas and all that kind of stuff. Which I feel like you see quite a bit in the higher level play, both in duels and in comp. There's a lot of people that hate each other for some reason. Which I find a little strange, to be fair. I mean, yeah, I get frustrated with people a lot in Mordhau. I'm not gonna lie. If people lean back, gamble me like 5 times in a row, I'm gonna be shitting myself. But it's not that I don't hate anyone in the game. Maybe Strike, he's like the exception.
Yeah, that's the competitive nature of things.
Yeah,
So yeah, you always get stuff where people just get frustrated because whatever X, Y, Z.
yeah, yeah. I think that also the fact that a lot of people feel like they're very good at the game, and some are really good at the game, but there's also the big thing with egos, and if you then not do well into someone you feel like you should be winning, you'll become toxic. You know, it will tilt you. So
Yep.
yeah, I think that's like a part of it. If you lose to a team you wouldn't expecting to lose to, that will throw you off, and you'll get mad and stuff like that. All right, so
Yeah,
so
it
like,
really does.
what led you to apply for moderator of Mordhau?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I had contact with the devs because of my when I hosted events, and something I also noticed is when I played in pubs or the SGM servers or whatever, well, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of toxic people, a lot of slurs being thrown around in chat,
Mm-hmm.
people griefing, people team killing a lot, and I
Yeah.
thought, well, I might as well ask and see if I can get moderator and try to clean stuff up a bit when I play,
Yeah.
and yeah, that happened, and so I asked to get mod and I got it.
I mean, I respect the fact that you feel like, you know, you take it onto yourself to clean up the community a bit, because to some extent I do believe that it is actually genuinely hurting the game a bit, like especially with esports stuff like that. Obviously the devs have been doing a lot of stupid shit to kind of ruin that, the chances of that, but the toxicity definitely doesn't help with that either. You know, it's just like
Yeah,
another bump in the road. So I think it's cool that you try to, you know, help with that part of it. You know, it's underrated people that actually like make like put some work into that. It's not that many players that do that. Most people are, if they're toxic, people just don't care. I mean, I don't care personally. Like, if it's not towards me, then for me it doesn't really matter. It's just like internet culture at this point, I guess.
yeah,
You
to a
get blind to
degree.
it.
Yeah, to a degree. So that is something that I do know that the NA scene, for example, has really improved since like a year ago till now with their toxicity. So that's always nice to see. Certain people really put effort into that and
Hmm.
are not cleaning up stuff. So that's
Yeah.
good. And if that moves forward, then toxicity becomes less and less in this genre, and that's only good for the next future of the melee slasher games and the whole community on its own.
Yeah. I mean, there's a more like there's a lot bigger events over in America. Are they hosted by Is that also community based, or is that or is there some of them that is more like, you know, third party, or, you know, Fraternian based? Do you know that?
Sorry, is what based what?
So there's a lot of tournaments over in America. A lot
Oh,
of the time
yeah.
they have bigger prize pools. Is that hosted like by a third party, like sponsors or something like that, or is that just purely community based?
Oh yeah, that's so far I know it's all community based.
Okay.
So certain teams within a community host them, get donations from players within the community itself,
Hmm.
and then they host the events. It might have been that there is a sponsor here and there. I'm not really keeping up with it a lot anymore because I'm busy
Hmm.
with other things.
Yeah, yeah,
So it could be that there have been sponsor.
yeah.
Correct
Because
me if I'm wrong, of course.
there was like a prize pool of like, I think it was like $1,000 or $2,000, if not more, like not too long ago, like a big tournament. It just seems like a lot, unless like a lot of the people in the community is like throwing money into the pool, which is not something you do a lot here in EU, which is something that we should be doing. Like, if everyone put like a couple of dollars into the prize pools, it would be more fun to play the tournaments, because there's, you know, it'd be more than just in-game gold. You know what I mean? I think.
Agree. There's a level of things to it, like a lot
Hmm.
of laws by one.
Oh,
You can't
really?
just Yeah, so if you host an event as an organization, there are bylaws and everything. So it is a bit more complicated if you, as a company, as an organization, ask entry price money, for example, because
Mm-hmm.
then you have to go through taxes and registrations and all that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is easier as a community just to host something like that. But if you have a registered organization, it becomes all a bit more complicated.
Yeah, it's always like that when it's something that is like, you know, non-private sector, you know, and that it kind of makes sense. Obviously, you know, if you make money off of it as a company, you'd obviously have to pay like taxes for it and stuff like that. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, what was the Mordhau experience, like the moderator experience, like for you?
Well, I came into it when I became a moderator, and it was not really, I would say, coherent. So things weren't consistent. People sort of just did what they did. So when I came in, Drunk Dwarf and Shady, there's a mod who also resigned
Yeah,
by
I
now.
know both of them actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we came together and we really restructured everything. Three of us wrote new guidelines, everything like that, and yeah, set up how it's being moderated at the moment, sort of.
I think that's important as well, because like being a moderator is not really useful if you don't have any clear guidelines to go by, you know, because then it's just like you can't really do that kind of stuff on Gefühl.
Yeah, there was a lot of just inconsistency. The same thing, getting different mute times or ban times, things like that.
Yeah.
And that just had to be consistent because otherwise it's useless.
Yeah,
And
I
it
agree.
looks as abuse, and you can't have that.
So, is there anything that you regret in regards to the moderating you were doing? I guess not a specific incident, but is there something that makes you kind of regret going into it? Like anything happened or like bad treatment or something like that? Is there anything? There's
Not
nothing.
really. I mean, it was an interesting experience. I gained some knowledge on certain aspects. Yeah, I met new people. I think I helped clean up the community a bit. So yeah, I don't regret becoming mod and helping out in any way I can. I resigned, but that's of course was for my own personal reasons.
Yeah.
But not because I disliked it.
I mean, that's fair. I generally think it's nice of you to help clean up the game, as it really needed it, and it still does need it to this day. So if you don't have any regrets with it, I'll imagine it'd be a good experience for the most part being a moderator. But did you never get any hate from like the community if you were like like based on the moderator part?
I got a lot of hate, but I already got that before I was a moderator.
Yeah.
There's always, I guess, if there's someone in a position that does something and you think they're wrong, they get hate from you.
Yep.
And so same from when I was hosting events and as a moderator, I've got plenty of hateful comments. I got death threats. Yeah, just people being annoyed for whatever reason, and you have
that's
to take
fucking
it.
disgraceful.
You need a thick skin to be a moderator, and a public figure, I guess. Anyway.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's disgusting.
how it went. I don't like it, of course, as well, but it happens. And if certain people are upset because they get muted because they misbehaved, and then spurg out or whatever, that's each has their own reactions, and
that's true.
You just got to deal with it.
Yeah, I think that the internet culture is kind of gotten to a point now where it's just very shitty a lot of the time. Like when people say kill yourself or fucking neck and all this kind of shit, like unironically because they're tilted about something like losing like access to a $30 game and stuff like that. People just get way too attached and get way too like personal over things that isn't personal, if that makes sense. Back in the day, there you just got insulted, but it was like in a more fun way. In like when I was like a kid, right, and I played in like Source, for example, when I was like, when it first came out, I was like a little squeaker. People always were rude to me, but they didn't tell me to go and kill myself. They just fucking roasted me. And I think to this day, it's just become worse and worse, like every year, like everything going on. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, indeed, it's going to new levels, and why that exactly is, I don't really know. But yeah, you just got to deal with it. That's all we can really do.
Yeah, I agree. Like obviously, having thick skin, as you said, is definitely like a tool you must have to be moderator, or like pretty much any internet personality, because it doesn't really matter what you do. Like someone will throw hate at you or shade, no matter what you really do, just because that's just how the internet is, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have any advice for people seeking out to be moderators?
Good question. I know for mordhau or in general.
And just in general.
Okay. Most games, teams, whatever, are looking for active members in the community, helpful people, people with no bad behavior in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be a moderator for whatever game, um, be active in that community, be helpful, be there a lot, get noticed. And a lot of, at least for mordhau in this case, they work in a recommendation basis where
Mm-hmm.
moderators from the team itself recommend other people from the community. Jackson looks through them, researches it a bit, and then he reaches out, has a small chat with them, and then he decides if he wants them on the team or not. So yeah, things like that. I think it's good to be able to handle issues,
Yeah.
difficult situations, conflicts. No, slap. You can't
I
make
can't
yourself
imagine you get
voluntarily.
paid for being a moderator, do you?
No, you don't.
No.
It's all voluntary basis.
Yeah.
Look, unless it's like for a AAA company and you're an in-game moderator for, like, example, Blizzard.
Yeah.
When you're a game master or something, I don't know how they call it. But when you have in-access server, access within the server to admin commands,
Mm-hmm.
they get paid. But for games of the size of mordhau, no.
I mean, on the other hand, right? Like people shouldn't seek out moderator to gain money. You should seek out moderator to, as you said, clean up the community and be helpful and
Mm.
make the game
Yep.
better. So yeah, I think that's fair, really. Also, what would you pay a moderator? There's that would be kind of tricky, right? Because it's not like they're doing like work on the game itself. They're doing work for the community. It's a little different.
Yeah, it depends on what their position is, if they have access to the game itself, or if they are just a Discord moderator or
Mm-hmm.
a Reddit moderator or forums. Um, if let's say they have access to everything, like how mordhau does it,
Mm-hmm.
it would really just be a minimum wage thing if they pay mods. But
Yeah.
I don't think you should pay mods to a degree. I think you should reward the mods.
Yeah.
But if they get salary, it becomes a motivation for bad apples to try to join to,
I agree.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
get money for doing nothing, even though mods are active. I think it's good to reward your mods with small things like a gift card on Christmas or their birthday, some in-game things like that is what I think is appropriate. But having Discord mods themselves being paid, no, because one, that's just way too expensive. Let's
Yeah,
say
for
you have a team
sure.
of 15 people,
Mm-hmm.
minimum wage 20 hours a week. Well, you already
Yeah, because I
big,
can't
big.
imagine that there would be like 20 hours of work as a moderator in a week. Is there really that much work?
No, it's more just you monitor. So you're there, you monitor. If you're in game, you're usually just active. I guess for mordhau.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like you're just always there, and then usually I gave 20 hours as an example because you usually do other things. But when you're behind your computer, Discord is open. You have basically are active and you can respond to things.
Yeah. One thing that I think would be fun if they did for moderators was give them a skin that says that was called Banhammer, and then put like a little fun skin for them all with let's say like a stone mole with like a runic and it says banner on it, something like that. That would be funny. Like just
It would,
something a little self-aware meme. The game is a little. It doesn't take itself too serious. It would be cool if they leaned into that kind of stuff a little bit as well. It would be a
yeah,
nice
to a
little
degree.
treat.
Yeah, I mean, the mods have the banner, but I don't see that as a reward, but more as they should already have that to
Mm,
indicate themselves from players.
yeah.
So I don't know. It's I do think that you should reward mods with a bit, and that could be a skin or whatever. But that
Yeah,
depends on the game, depends on the team. So yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Okay, so as we know, you're the Ad Mortem community manager. What kind of work does that include?
Community management is bigger than you think. It's on a lot of it is on the background. For a smaller company or organization or game, it is usually you also get marketing tasks and PR tasks, so
Hmm.
public relations,
Yeah.
um, reaching out to content creators, Mostly it's about like the big thing most people know about community manager is they interact with the community, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also collecting feedback, um, collecting public opinion of the whole company and the game itself online everywhere, and relaying all that information to the developers so they can work on whatever feedback or improvements the community wants.
Yeah. I mean,
Event management, it's also a lot of things. Yeah.
yeah, because like when you're a community manager, people kinda have the expectation of you being the ear, like from the for the community, right? And that can put the information towards the devs, because obviously they would be, doing the dev kind of stuff. So I think it's like a very important job, and it sucks when you see people slack on it or maybe not putting as much effort into it as they should, because it really hurts the game a lot. It really does. So
Yeah, if the community engagement isn't optimal, it indeed makes players think that they aren't being taken serious
yeah,
or their feedback isn't used. So yeah,
yeah, I
it
agree.
should be a good balance between the front action that a community manager does or the support staff like moderators and
Hmm.
what they do in the behind on the background. Yeah.
Yeah, as you said, it was also reaching out and doing PR stuff. Do you think that that kind of work is very important for, like, let's say, hyping a game, like Ad Mortem, for example? Would you say it would be important to reach out and get people's attention with that early on? Maybe not too early, but like, at the time that feels right, because obviously getting it out there, marketing is extremely important in these days. With social media, it's never been easier, so you can really promote it well if you want to, and if you have the resources and the know-how.
Yeah, I do think PR is very important. Although PR and marketing is different. So public relations is literally just the company versus the public.
Yeah.
So what people think of you, this
Hmm.
can be done by just interactment or just being social or whatever.
Hmm.
Marketing is really specific of trying to get people interested.
Yeah.
So those are two different things, of course,
Hmm.
but it is important. Like we're already sharing Instagram posts, sorry, Twitter posts at the moment to have some interaction with the people who are interested for the game. We actually released a new post when we started this 20
Oh,
minutes ago.
really? Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
Hold on. I gotta check my Twitter real quick. now,
sure.
now you got me intrigued. But yeah, so yeah, as you said, PR and marketing is not really the same thing. Oh, that looks
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Yeah.
That is really cool. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this in chat real quick so you guys can see. Go and follow Ad Mortem on Twitter, by the way, if you use Twitter. That's really cool. I like the antlers.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I
Yeah,
would
it's one
rock
of
that.
my favorites. Our artist is really, really talented,
Yeah, I
and
can tell.
I'm very happy we have the nice team we have. But yeah,
Mm.
we are already starting this. Like we are in early development, so we can't really show gameplay yet. But we want to interact with people who are interested about the concept of a new game being made. So we give them a little interaction with the concept art we're sharing right now.
Yep.
And of course, it's not the game itself, so we don't expect people to get overhyped with it. But it is about recognition. That's the first step in everything.
Yes, I
Being
agree.
recognized, word of mouth, spreading awareness, and I think we're doing well with that. And a lot of people like the images, and it does show a bit of our art direction and what way we want to go with that. So yeah, it's a good first step, and PR wise, I think it's decent.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of, it's always tricky with PR stuff because of the fact that, it's very easy to say something that offends people, and, like, do one misstep as a company and it can have huge consequences for your marketing and sales. Like, take Battlefield 5 for an example, right? There was some stuff that was controversial in the game, and people was like, "Well, fuck this, looks dog shit," and people were like, "You don't like it, don't buy it," and then everyone canceled their pre-orders because that's not
Yeah.
how you're supposed to talk to the community invested in your game and spending money, of course, So,
Yeah.
like, what would you say that is like? Is there a way that you think that PR should be handled? Would you extra like, you know? delicate, or whatever you'd say for that?
I think you should always be semi-transparent.
Hmm.
Always just be a mix between professionalism and being warm, being open. I think you should always be straightforward with people. Don't tiptoe around whatever you're trying to say. Just say
Yes.
what you want and be clear about what your plans are, what you're doing, whatever it is you're talking about. And then if people see that you are either trying or see your intent behind it because you are being straightforward, then that's a good first thing to do. Because if you tiptoe around the line, lie about things, don't have contact at all, or just postpone a lot of things,
Yeah.
then it will look shady. So you should never do that, in my opinion. Just always just be straightforward, but semi-professional. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with that. You know, it's something you see a lot, sadly, these days, that people kinda tweak words to make it sound like something it might not end up being in game. And obviously, there's always the chance of you putting something out there and then it doesn't end up making it into a game. Fair enough, right? But like one thing that I think is very important with PR as well for like game companies is them having a little bit of humor. You know, like make something a little funny. You know, people like a little chuckle, and you know, showing that there is like actually some actual personality behind like the guy doing PR also actually does a lot, in my opinion. You know, like sometimes posting like a meme or like a clip of something. Obviously, your game is, or your guys' games are not out yet, so it's a little different with that. But you know, something a little different to get people's attention. For me, is one of the main things that I look for when I watch new games. Is if you know, if it feels like too corporate, it's I already lose a little bit of trust in it, just by
Yeah.
default, because in this day and age, like as you said, a lot of shady stuff is going on. So you want to see some humanity behind the post as well. Yeah.
And it a good example, I think. Whatever you think about the game Chivalry 2 itself,
Hmm.
the way they did community interaction with how Jen reached out, posted clips, multiple clips a week,
Yeah.
had contact with everyone in the Discord and through Twitter and whatever the platforms were. That's a very good example of how it should be done.
Yeah, I
Although
agree.
her tone was at times a bit um, too jolly for whatever she was sharing, but it is a very good example, I think, for what to strive for, even despite whatever you might think of the game itself. Just looking at it from a marketing and community engagement perspective.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a game that really knows what it wants, and it's a game that is very straightforward. You know, it caters to the exact community that they're looking for, and they're not trying to like give a lot of broken promises and all that kind of stuff. And they have some humor, and they have like some interaction, and that's what you look for in indie games as well. You want them to care about the people buying indie games. Triple A's
Yeah.
can afford to just say fuck you to everyone because they still get to make money. Indie games can't do that, not without
Yeah.
getting slaughtered.
Yeah, indeed, indie games are smaller. You're more reliant on good interaction with your community.
Yeah,
You can take a
absolutely.
look at, well, there are a lot of stories of games who are being made, and then they fuck up with whatever reason during
Hmm.
alpha, beta. Like the dirty dev videos online, for example,
Hmm.
where they're just developers either abusing their power immediately, lying, being unclear,
Yeah,
almost scamming people. So yeah, it's very important to always be transparent, I think.
I agree.
Yeah,
Transparency.
Mikolai said in chats. Yeah, it's what if at this point, the community, I think between Jax and the community, Jax is being more active with the posts on Reddit, I think. So that's good, getting
Hmm.
active feedback from the community. But indeed, posting a meme at this point would be useless because it's against what is already the norm.
Yes,
And
true.
you shouldn't tag people for that. Indeed, the relationship is too tarnished, maybe, but he's doing his best to, at least be progressively better. I think.
Yeah, I think Dax generally has good intentions, but I also think that at this point in time in the game, you know, it's like there's a lot of bad standing with the community. So I don't think it really matters what he did from this point on, like to have a huge impact, because as long as the game will stay unbalanced and there's going to be stuff to complain about, the entire dev team will kind of look, look bad in people's eyes, because a lot of people won't know Jax. Like a lot of people that are not like deeply integrated with the mordhau system will not really know much about Jax. They will just see him as one of the devs or like one of the people working from it. It's I agree. Yeah. Had he maybe been doing a little bit of that, like back in the day, like when it started out, maybe he could have built something off of that. You never know. It's easy to say could have, should have, but it's always individual stuff. It depends on the game as well. It depends on the team.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have an approach to this kind of work that you can share? Not necessarily anything specific, but like what kind of way would you want to work as a community manager?
So I would do my utmost best to first set up a good moderation team. People who are helpful, responsive, and just there. Also help interaction with whatever community we will have. And personally, I would want to be, yeah, like I said, friendly but straightforward. Be there for people to reach out. I will try my best to respond as fast as possible whenever I'm available, things like that. So yeah, I want to be there for the community, but also do everything that's needed on the background, like outreach and help with marketing, help with PR, stuff like that.
So wait, when you are the community manager, is there do you have like anyone to assist you with some of that stuff, or is that like solely on you to do public relations, marketing, and all community feedback? Or would you not think it would be easier if you had maybe like a guy or two that could help with DMs, for example? Because I know like Jax gets like 60 DMs a day or something like that. It's like really hard to keep track of.
Yeah. Well, that's a position. That's where I'm for. So I'm there to be the face between the community and the development team. So people will come to me. And sure, we do have people in the team who are prioritizing marketing. I just assist with it.
Okay.
So I'm not the guy who will market. I'm just there to help.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to hear.
He will probably also do part of the email stuff. But all the DMs and whatever, that's on me, and that is something I will have to deal with because that's the position, especially as a small team like that.
That's true. I mean, also I feel like you have the right attitude towards this as well. You're not making it sound like it's a burden. You make it sound like it's more of a blessing, really. And you wanting to be the face of the company is also the right mindset to have, because essentially that is what you will be as a community manager. So knowing that beforehand and feeling confident in that is a very good sign for Ad Mortem, I'd say.
I see it as a great opportunity because if the real relationship between the development team and the community is positive, then it's only better for the health of the game. It will only keep people there, increase retention, and spread word of mouth. So if you're like, oh, this game is nice and the staff is nice, I want to keep playing it. So I do think it's very important to have someone with the right mindset, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Because a lot of times with small indie games that goes to alpha, they don't get patches fast enough for people, and people think that developers don't care. Like if they had a community manager, maybe being more active, people would maybe put some more faith into it. Like for example, having a roadmap helps a ton with smaller games that are like for example, early access and stuff like that, right? Or like Mordhau did a roadmap but it was kind of late, you know what I mean? I think that if they might have had one earlier on, that would be a little more like fleshed out. It would probably have helped people with their patience, but it's always kind of hard to say because no one can anticipate how a game is going to run after release. That's up to the team.
That's very true, but I do think that you can make it somewhat of a roadmap because you know what you plan on making. You might not know when it will fully be done, but you can still guess because you made the game thus far. You know how fast you work. You know what it takes to make something. So I do think you can put general, you know, points in time where you think it's done. Like this update, this new map, whatever, it will take us around 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And you can put that down, and then if you have to postpone it, you just write about it, or you
Yeah.
take a bit more of a liberal time slot. So let's say probably 5 months, but let's say 6 months just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you are done earlier, you can release it earlier, and people will be even more happy.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
yeah,
It's something you see a
Road-
lot in like roadmaps as well. Is that they don't put a month on it or a date. They say like it's spring, it's fall, it's summer, it's winter, you know,
Yep.
or like end 2021 and stuff like that. And I think that's the best way to do it as well, because you don't really bind yourself to a date, but you have like an expectation of when should be dropping if everything goes to plan. So that's the right way to do it in my opinion, because you don't step on anyone's toes then. That's like a 3 month period, you know? So a lot of things can happen in 3 months. So, yeah, is it exciting to be a part of something like that, being a community manager for you? You mentioned that it was one of your dreams to work for a game company.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's very nice to see the game being grown step by step when I can watch. For example, Jax came in around alpha, maybe, or something around there.
Yeah, and the
I don't know.
Kickstarter, he kind of came in about the
Yeah,
Kickstarter.
yeah. So he wasn't there for early development, but I got invited and asked to be on early, so I know how things are made. I see the process of things being made, the thought process behind things, concepting of game modes, things like that, maps, ideas, lore. So it's nice because I have a better view of how the game will be, and the
Yeah.
whole development of that is very exciting for me to see, especially because I don't know anything about that.
Mm.
So our map guys make the map, and I'm like, yeah, that looks cool. And it's like, oh, but this is just a draft. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I can
Things
kind of
like that.
imagine that.
And concept art, the internal stuff we have is great to see. So yeah, it's very exciting for me, who doesn't really know much about game development itself, but it's just a communications guy, to
Yeah.
see this and experience it. Yeah, it's very
Being a
very hype.
part of the ride in itself must also,
Yeah,
be very exciting. As I think a lot of people that play games would like to kind of experience it from the other side of the spectrum. Being on the opposite side, not being the one receiving, but being the one kind of making a game, or like being on that side of it. So. Does that make you look different on games now that you're in that part of it?
a bit. I realize now I know that how we do it. I have a little bit of an insight of how it can be done in games.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know a lot about it because it's not my task. But I do see things now in other games, like, okay, I kind of see how they approach this. I would do it like this, especially for communication stuff, but also like tiny things for general development. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, because I know that a lot of movie critics, they can't go back to just enjoying a movie blindly. They will always see it like from angles. Once you've been like on that side where you like have this critical mindset to it, or you're like how things should be done, or how like in your opinion at least how things should be done if you've seen better ways. It's kind of hard going back to that like ignorance of it. Just you know what I mean, like.
Yeah, I
You
know
know,
what you mean.
yeah.
Luckily, not for me because, like I said, don't really know that much about game
Hmm.
development itself. So, but I don't really have to because we have a great team who do know how to do it.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't affect me that much. I can still enjoy the games, but yeah, I do get what you mean. Luckily for me, that's just not the case.
I'm glad to hear that, because it would suck, to burn out on it. I know a lot of people that works on games, if they also don't go and play games, like Jack said.
Yeah,
He works mordhau, he sleeps mordhau, he eats mordhau, and then when he gets home to play mordhau as well, would be like, then
yeah.
your life is just nothing but mordhau. So I'm glad to hear that you're still like enjoying like playing slashers and that kind of stuff. That's good to hear.
Hmm.
Um, oh man, I was thinking of something right before, and now I forgot.
Yeah,
It will come back to me.
sure.
Okay, so I mean, everyone wants me to ask this, but I already know the answer. But I'm just gonna ask it anyways. It's is there anything you are allowed to share from Ad Mortem?
No, like I said, what we're sharing is concept art
Mm-hmm.
to get some interaction with people, because people just want to see things. They see a bit of our direction with the concept art that we release, but yeah, we can't really share anything about the game itself.
No,
So
I
share about
expected that, but you gotta try it. Maybe you get
yeah, sure.
lucky.
Yeah.
So the thing I forgot about before was when you talked about the team being really nice. When I had the podcast episode with Giro on, and he got a lot in depth with like how they work together as a team and everyone's implemented. It really gave me a lot of hope for the game coming out as a success, because the way he described it was it's like one kind of small family all getting in on everything together and helping each other out, learning from each other, and that's in my opinion what it should be like. It's very reassuring to have a guy like Giro talking with that amount of passion about how he runs it, and without even getting into details about the game itself, that they're really trying and they're actually making sure that the game is not just a cash grab. I asked him when it was gonna come out, if he had any ideas when, and it's like, I can't give you a date. It's gonna come out when it's ready, and
Yeah.
I believe him when he said, like, if project wait, the Project City Red, when they said it, like, a lot of people was like, yeah, sure, but then they fucking burned everyone with that. So like when he said it, obviously it kind of triggers something in your memory, but I actually believe it when he says it. I feel like the team you're a part of is actually super confident and competent without even knowing anything about it, just giving out that kind of feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like how we work internally is very nice. It's good dynamic flow, and
Yeah.
everyone indeed helps each other. So it's a very nice team, and I'm very happy to be part of it. Yeah, and everyone is always motivated, and when if one of the artists makes something new and we share it, everyone gets hyped.
Mm.
So yeah, that's always nice to see.
Yeah, it sounds really exciting. I'd love to see that kind of stuff myself. There's always been something very satisfying about working as a team and then accomplishing something and something you can be proud of. That will always be very rewarding. So I'm gonna ask you a little bit of a maybe tricky question. Which team would you say were more enjoyable to be a part of? The Triturnian one, or the what is it? What is this company called actually? Does it have
I
a
don't know
name?
if I can say that. We have an established company, but
Okay, if you can't share it, then that's
don't
fine. We're
think
just
we
gonna call it Ad
share that.
Mortems. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't really part of the Triturnian team. I was support staff for the game at Mordhau.
Yeah.
And well, that was nice to a degree. It's different because now I'm
Mm.
part of the development team. And for Mordhau, I was just support staff. And while I liked working as a mod, and the other mods were great, some of the interaction with some of the developers could have been better.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy this more, and only more good things to look forward to, I think.
Yeah. I'm really happy for you that you get to work with something you've dreamed about. It's very nice. Not so many people get lucky enough to chase their dreams like in the way that they want to. So I'm really happy for you that you're getting there. With that said, though, would you say that Ad Mortem's team has a better flow in work than Triturnian, from what you know, at least? If that's
It's a good
something you want
question.
to answer, of course.
Well,
You don't have to if
so
you don't want to.
I'm not. So I wasn't aware of how Triturnian worked. Like I talked with some devs, and I got how they personally made stuff, but how their team flow is, I have no clue. So I
Okay.
can't really answer on that. I do
Hmm.
know that they work on their patches until it's done, so they don't set a goal, they don't set a time deadline, things like that. We do have internal deadlines.
Yeah.
They are a bit more general, but we do have deadlines. Like we want this done by then, we want that
Yeah. Yeah.
done by then, so we can move on to the next phase. So yeah, I think we are a bit more structured, but I don't know for certain because, as I said, I'm not haven't been part of their development team, Morehouse. So yeah, I can't really compare that.
Okay, that's fair. So, Nikolai actually asked a really good question. Audine mentioned that Giro is pretty much a visionary when it comes to melee slashers. Has there been anything that you have seen from the rest of the team that legit blew your mind? Something that, had you been in their position, you wouldn't have been able to come up with in a million years? It don't have to be
Yeah.
something specific that you can't talk about, but like, is there anything going on where you're like, wow, that is
Hmm.
really impressive, and that is actually like,
Our whole team.
next level.
Um,
Oh, I'm glad to hear
really,
that.
we really have a talented people in the team. Our animator is just so talented, and the person who's making our lore, it's insane. He's so creative. Like the stories he makes, the thoughts behind it, it's great. And Iodine working on our audio, it's awesome.
So the guy making the law, he would be like the perfect Dungeons and Dragons game master, is what you're saying.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. It's not a leak Umbra. Iodine publicly mentions he works on the audio for the game.
Mm,
Um, yeah, and yeah, what Iodine makes audio-wise, music-wise, it is amazing.
mm.
And sometimes I just have one of his songs on loop on the background. It's just so nice.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the finished product. I haven't been hyped for a game like this since Skyrim, actually. So it's
Mm.
and I don't say that lightly. There's one other game that I'm really looking forward to in the future that's coming in like fucking 30 million years. The next Elder Scrolls games, if Bethesda can convince me, hopefully they can turn the tides. But I'm really, really excited for Ad Mortem, and I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that.
Yeah. So I do get it. And so some people are like, I'm very hyped about the game, but there isn't anything shown about the game yet. So it's very nice to see that people are hyped for the idea of a new game being made by Giru and our team.
Mhm.
But I do also think, while you can be happy that a new game is made, you should at least wait for us to share the gameplay, share
Yeah,
assets,
absolutely.
and then really become hyped.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
otherwise, it's you can be hyped for the idea, sure, and that's great. I'm also hyped for whatever we have, but
Mm,
I think hyping for an idea is always, you know, you can disappoint yourself. You can overhype something. You
that's
can
true.
think, oh, something great's being made, and then it won't be great. Of course, what we make, I can see what we're making, and we have great stuff going on along the
Yeah.
way. But always be a bit reserved for
Yeah, I do
being
agree.
hyped for things you don't see yet, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think the reason people are hyped from this is because people know of Guru. People know Guru. They've seen his streams many times. They're aware of him. Obviously, as a streamer, people don't really know you, but like they have a good idea of like what you're like, and Giro is very upfront and straightforward guy, and seems very nice and genuine. So that in itself, I think, is reassuring people a little bit. If a stand-up guy is in front of it as the visionary and the team leader or whatever you call it, like the development leader. Oh, I don't know what the titles are. Then
Yeah, indeed.
that will give people a lot of hope. And obviously, you should always wait for gameplay. Don't pre-order games that you're not sure about. All that kind of stuff makes good
Yeah,
sense. Don't want to waste money. But like it's always a balance. It depends on the situation. I feel here the hype might be justified. We'll see. Hopefully, sometime in the future, we'll see some more snippets and some stuff too.
we
Or
are we are working, and we're working, of course. Every week we develop more stuff, and we will share more things coming down the line. So we will share some more concepting, but not just images, but more about the game itself. So I think people will really like that,
yeah,
and yeah, it should be something to get excited about.
yeah. Because I remember Giro talked about he was gonna make a cinematic trailer and a gameplay trailer. So obviously
Down the
there's
line, yeah,
yeah
way down the
down yeah
line.
no not now of course, but like
Yeah,
down the line. That's something I'm looking very much forward to as well, because hopefully that's gonna be informative and you know
mhm,
and builds up some good hype. So yeah, I'm patiently waiting for that time to come. It's gonna be very nice.
yeah.
So what? No, we can go back to Mordhau a little bit. What's your
Okay.
opinion on Mordhau's current state as of right now?
Well, on the game itself, or the health of the game, or what
Everything,
exactly?
like overall. We can go through
Everything.
multiple things.
Okay. Well, I'm not that high skilled, so on the gameplay itself, I cannot really say much without making a fool of myself. Like I have basic understandings of, the combat, of course, but I was never high compter,
Mm.
so I can't really talk about that. I do think that the state of the game itself, it's stable. So
Yeah.
with the release of Series 2, they lost some members of average players, but people forget to see that before that there was a peak. So it was 3.5, and then 4.7, and then back to 3.5.
Yeah.
So there was a peak. I think it wasn't. I don't really know why there was a peak, because there was no event.
Oh,
But
remember was it
I think
initial
it was
sale?
the live stream which caused a bit of a peak. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
that
there
might be
was a
true.
peak, and that died down again back to the normal numbers. And
Yeah.
people say that's because Chivalry 2, but that's not actually the case. It just died down to its normal level again.
Yeah.
And I think the state of the game is healthy. They could increase retention of the game, but that's very hard for the type of game it is.
Yeah, true.
Um, Overall, I think it's doing well and should still be doing fine for quite a while.
Yeah, I think the game is stable in the sense that it has, a player base still. It's not people saying Mordhau is dead, but it's not really dead. There are some aspects of the game that are bleeding for sure, like the comp scene and even
Yeah.
dual servers is kinda, it's getting scarce with good servers. We have like only like 5-6 good servers in EU that people actually play on. That is not like low level players.
Yeah, sure.
So in that sense, the game is kinda a little bit of a shadow of what it used to be. But it's been like that for a while now, so that's what to be expected. They can't make any miracles and make like 1 million new players. But
Yeah, that's very true. You can't compare it to the numbers of release, but that's the thing for every game. You have a big release usually, and then it dies down after half a year, and then what's left is usually the stable player base, and it will usually remain around like that until the game dies off.
yeah,
But as long as content keeps being released, I think Mordor will be fine. New
yeah,
maps would be nice, but they're working on those, so they should, they Eastern Invasion map, I think, and there's a forest map being made and stuff like that. Castello is being reworked, I think. There's still a lot of nice things to come.
yeah. I hope so. Like as much as I love to shit on Mordhau, we all play it because we like it. So a lot of the hatred coming towards the game is, out of disappointment from what the game could have been or should be at this point. So I generally don't think that people actually hate Mordhau, but they hate the idea of the game not being more successful than it is, and it didn't reach the potential that people expected it to. Which is obviously it's unfortunate, but that's just reality sometimes, right? Again, you can overhype a game, and sometimes there's it gets stale, with content. Right now, there's not much coming out, and last patch didn't really bring much either. So people are anxiously waiting to see what's coming up next.
Yeah, I think to a degree, a game should take some small risks, but Modo didn't. So that's a few of the reasons why they didn't get more. What they have at the moment is fine, yeah, but they could have had it more. They
I
could have
agree.
had an even bigger release if they marketed correctly, things like that.
Yeah, I agree. So, as you said before, marketing is very important, and we talked a little about how Shiv is doing stuff like sharing clips and being very active. Do you think it's too late for Mordhau to begin starting with Twitter and stuff like that, or making YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff? Because there's a lot of way you can promote stuff, like with Shiv 2, promoting maybe streamers and stuff like that. Huge impact for the streamers itself, but it also brings attention to the game. Do you think Mordhau would succeed more from that?
In this stage of Mordhau's life, I don't think it will do much.
No.
They already have a basis. Like if you go into any other game, Discord or whatever, and you mention Mordhau, a lot of people will say, "Oh, is that white supremacist game, or is that racist game?"
Yeah.
Because things like the PC Gamer article during early stage of release,
Yeah, that was a shame, man.
and the way how the community was during beta, where there was no real moderation, so things weren't really monitored. There was the forums article about posting your loadouts and how that was called. I think everyone knows how it was called. I'm not gonna say it.
Hmm.
It was play on night word, the word night and the N word,
Hmm.
and that was on the
What the
forums
fuck?
on the main page
Oh
for
no.
years.
Oh,
And
God
when I
damn.
became mod, actually, I renamed it immediately because it was still up. Even after the PC Gamer article, the name was still up.
Wow.
So I
That's.
changed it, and
Oh
half
no.
an hour later, I would change it back again. By I don't know who, someone changed it back. So that was just that made me confused, especially as someone who studies PR. It's like, why would you ever open yourself up to something like that?
Yeah,
But yeah, the stigma around the game, around mordhau, is already tarnished. So I
I
don't
agree.
think it will do much for them if they start interacting more. Like they already share stuff on Twitter, true. Not that much. They're not that consistent, but they do share here and there.
Yeah,
Um,
it's very little though,
yeah,
considering the amount of content
yeah,
that is actually put out about the game. It's a lot of good
yeah.
YouTube videos, a lot of good tutorials, a lot of streams, funny clips that are like, for example, like I had the episode with Jax on, for example. I would have loved
Mhm.
for them to maybe post that somewhere, like the episode, like get to know Jax. There's something that,
Yeah,
like, not for my own personal gain, but like people don't know the devs as much as they should, and that will also build trust in them, and them having to hear Jackson, see him other than only on the live stream like twice a year maybe. I think it would be good for
yeah.
them as well, and it's like a missed opportunity, and I feel like their marketing is also just missed opportunities over and over. Have you
No,
heard
they
about
don't
the
mark.
Red Bull scandal? It's like a scandal for
No.
me. Not really a scandal, but it's kind of a scandal. Okay, so pretty much, Giro told me this. When mordhau released and it came out, and there was like a gameplay video, Red Bull
Oh, Red
had
Bull
a clip.
scandal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Red Bull pretty much DM'd them, or no, made a public post tagging mordhau, said esports when, and
yeah.
like, but
And it was
they didn't
unacknowledged.
even answer it. It's like that just seems
Yeah, yeah.
super
No, I
lazy.
remember that. I remember that because that was immediately brought up within the organization I was back then for esports
Yeah,
for the event. We immediately shared that internally and was like, "Oh, this means we can get somewhere." But then a week later, there was no response. So it
yeah.
was indeed like, "Okay, yeah, that's too bad."
That was actually so that like they could have done
Yeah.
so much with that. They could have done a small sponsored a small tournament, and then maybe more like could have some banners in game for Red Bull, or put put a Red
Mhm.
Bull in like as an
Yeah.
as like one of those player icons you can like put on your chest or your shield, something like that, just like for a month or something like that. There's
There
stuff
were a
like
lot of
that. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
you could have
shame.
done a lot of things with that, and yeah, sadly they didn't. Mordhau has no marketing person. No, Jax is studying marketing now, but
Yeah,
there was no one before with any marketing experience.
true.
So that was too bad. They could have really capitalized on a lot of things, which they didn't. And
Yeah.
that's a choice of the lead developers, and
Yeah. Do
each
you
their own.
think
They
they
did
were
fine
aware?
with their release. Yeah, they were aware. Jax I think Jax is in charge of the Twitter, or
Yeah,
someone
he
else
is.
is. I don't know. Yeah. So you should have seen it, of course. So it should have been mentioned, but nothing happened, and
It's
that's too bad.
just the
You
fact
know.
that they don't reach out to them and like hear what they like, if they were serious, or like what they were thinking with the post, just anything really. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jack said he had zero experience at the time he became community
Yeah.
manager. That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to start on something.
Mhm.
And I know during alpha beta he was more active within community when it was smaller.
Yeah.
Of course, I can't speak for Jack, so I'm not going to make assumptions. But
No,
yeah,
no.
it would have been nicer if he had more experience going into it.
Yeah, of
But
course.
at least he's getting that now, so that's good.
Yeah, I agree. He seems like he's working hard towards that as
Yeah,
well.
I mean, I love Jax as a guy. I
Yeah,
really
same.
like him,
Yeah.
and he's very friendly. He's very helpful when he can help you.
Yeah.
He helped me a lot with a lot of previous things when I had, I do a communication study. So, for example, I needed to do reports where I needed to interview certain people, and I
Mhm.
interviewed him for things like that. He's a very nice man. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Jax overall. Like a lot of people in the comp scene really don't like him because like he's obviously the face of the community, promising comp will be better, and then a year later nothing changed, and stuff like that. So that I feel like that's a shame because I generally think that he wants the best for the game, but he's just not really able to do much, like on that part. As the community manager, you can't really do that much without the team of devs following up on that. So
Yep.
and you can't prioritize combo over everything else in the game, especially when it's like one of the least like sought out things in Mordhau. So it's a shame. With a little twist, if you
Mhm.
were, let's say, at Mortem released,
Yeah.
in a year, that's not going to be when it releases, of course.
But
Most likely.
hypothetically,
Yeah, hypothetically. Let's say Red Bull posted the exact same tweet to you guys. How do you think you would react, and would that be something you would take serious?
of course, Red Bull is a big company. They're known for hosting esports because energy brand, gamers,
Yep.
collaboration. Yeah, I would bring it up to the team. I would ask Kiru and our marketing guy. We will talk about it, how to respond, how to go from there, and we would indeed really, you know, start dialogue and see what
Yeah.
we can do with each other. So yeah, I would never ignore something like that.
No,
I would be on top of things.
yeah, but also like there's no disputing that Red Bull is one of the biggest companies in the world. You can buy Red Bull in literally almost any country that like any like Western country, and also in a lot of like third world countries they have Red Bulls. Some places, right? It's like a worldwide brand, known for extreme sports, normal sports, esports. If you can if you even get their attention, that in itself should be like a huge morale booster as a team. And you like maybe if it doesn't lead to anything, that the fact that they even thought about it or reached out, or maybe you had a conversation with them in itself is actually an accomplishment.
Yeah, indeed, it is. I would say that if we get some message like that, we would really jump on it, because
Absolutely.
that Mortem will be competitively viable. So we would of course love to have some kind of collaboration with some big company like Red Bull
Yeah.
or things like that.
I generally think one of the Red Bull is one of those very lucrative sponsors. It's obviously a big, company, and I imagine they'll probably do some good sponsors as well. It's like if you hold up your end of the deal and you make a good tournament, I'm sure they would probably use you again in the future. They do stuff with Riot Games and other stuff, and if you can get a foot within the door of Red Bull,
Yeah, that's
huge
great.
potential. Yeah. Okay, so what's your thoughts on the community as of right now with Mordhau? I know we touched upon this a little bit before, but like if we can go a little deeper into that, for example, how the toxicity is right now within the game, but also like, do you see any patterns that maybe lead the game into like a negative spin or something positive that you wanna shout out for being good as of right now in the community?
That is indeed a good question. I think overall the average player, so the casuals, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
just the normal players,
Yeah.
they are very friendly. As you can see, if you are semi-active in the official Discord of Mordhau,
Yeah.
most people there are very friendly, willing to help each other, always excited to play the game, talk with people. So I think the general public of the game's audience is very nice. It's just the like Jack said, the 5% of people who are troublemakers, who are the issues because they
Yeah.
stand out, because they are more the abnormal people.
They're also louder.
Yeah, they're the loudest ones. So those people are they're lessening down on that moderation is getting stricter, and there are more mods, and there's hammering down on that. That's good. But overall, I think it's developed a lot in a very positive way since release.
Yeah.
And yeah, if they have any patterns of issue or I don't know. It's again, onto an individual who is, trying to be toxic or
Yeah.
making issues. That's not something really you can say as a general pattern. I think at the moment, not talking about the size of the scene, but the behavior and the attitude of the scene,
Hmm.
it's it's improved vastly from what it used to be. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what Jack says as well. So, is there any player that maybe started off a little bit of the wrong path that's kind of redeemed himself in your eyes? Anyone you
Yeah.
want to shout out, maybe?
Well, Silver Leo used to be a troublemaker in the Discord, and
Hmm.
now he's a guardsman. So
Oh,
as a
wow.
moderator, he's a senior moderator. Yeah. So he's improved himself, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's things like that.
I mean, that's good to hear, you know. It's always nice to see some personal growth and also people kind of getting their bearings. Like, you know, trolls do exist in every game, and you know, if you can troll and make it funny, that's one thing. If you troll with the intent of being annoying or like do it in a negatively based way, then you know, it can be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's good to hear. I'm glad that some of the people are reforming themselves, as we all should try and do in the Mordhau community.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I can't remember if I actually asked you that. Would you rather, or would you handle the community management different if you were the community manager of Mordhau? Is there any way
Yeah.
you would have done it differently, or anything that Jax might be doing that you would do, like you see with a different pair of eyes?
So yeah, I each has their own different styles.
Hmm.
I do like how Jax, when he talks to the public, how he talks. I think that's a very nice tone. It's semi-professional, but also welcoming and warm. So
Hmm.
that's very good. See that good mix of that. So the communication style itself would be similar, but I would probably, do other things. Try to be more interactive with the community because I'm someone who really likes to be on hands with things like that.
Yeah.
Of course, I know that Jax has some restrictions because how the team of Triturian works.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how much extra I would be able to do if I had that position, but
Mm.
I would do my best and maybe do things different. But I think Jax is already doing his best,
Yeah,
and
I agree.
despite in the beginning, yeah, he didn't really have that much experience, and he did the best he could, and I think he did decent. And if he
Yeah.
had more, if he had the experience he had now, he could have done better in the beginning. But that's the case for everyone,
Yeah,
so
that's
it's not
also.
something to blame him for.
No, I agree. That transfers into literally everything. You know, if your
Yeah,
experience will always be, you know, worth gold because you have, you know, insight and stuff, and your
mhm,
experience and like what you can do and what you can't do. So, but like I feel like Jax is never really controversial. There, he has a couple of flaws, obviously. Like sometimes he forgets about stuff that is community based. And for example, like the one episode of the podcast, people really did not like that, and that was really unfortunate because I know he didn't mean any harm with it, and I didn't get mad at him. But you know, a lot of people actually got like genuinely mad at him, which I definitely would not recommend. Jax is a nice guy, and people still bring it up to this day. Like even though he has been on now, people still bring it up like from day to day, which is unfortunate. It just means that if you make a bad impression,
man.
it's very hard to
Yeah,
redeem it.
first impression sticks, stigma stays. It's very hard to improve on that indeed. I think
Mm.
Jax has improved a lot, and for example, they do the Reddit feedback things now, and that's good.
Yeah.
Um, they should have done that from the start, but it's a good step they're doing that now.
Yeah. True.
And yeah, it's improvement from what it was. But they don't. The people who've been around since launch, they don't see that. They just remember, oh, Jax didn't do his job well enough at launch, so how can he do better now? So
Yeah.
people are sometimes they just are too linear in their view, and they box people in from their first initial impressions.
True.
And yeah, people should be more open towards people improving and changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think Mordhau is a little bit in an unfortunate situation, as I know that a lot of people want the game to get better, and I think that a lot of the people in the dev team, most of them, I can probably name one that is a little, slacking a little bit. I don't need to mention any names. Um, and like I feel like they genuinely want to do what's best for the game, and they genuinely care and want to rush or not rush stuff out, but like push stuff out. But I also think they're kind of you know, they're kind of head deep in now, and it's a little hard because there's a lot of expectations for stuff, and the community is like very split up. There's like the duelists, there are the comp scene, and then there's the casuals that play frontlines and horde and you know, invasion, and they all want different things because that's what affects their gameplay. And like,
Yeah.
you know, as a community manager, Jax can try and say, yeah, we're looking into it, we're doing our best with this and that, but like, unless you see it in game, it's just words, you know. And I think a lot of people, because the production of like you know, game changes and what's the name for it, quality of life changes is slow, and people lose their faith in the developers, which is, you know, it's a shame because I generally think they're trying their best, but I also know it's
Yeah,
hard for them at this point.
a community manager can only just, say and relay. So he can take messages and relay them to the team, and take messages from the team and relay them to the community. Jax himself can't go into the engine and fix the problem.
No.
So all he can do is say, yes, okay, I'll bring it up. We'll see what can be done.
Yeah,
And that's kind of what happens in communication with games. You can say that we'll look into it, but it can take a while. It might be put on the list, but it might be down because other things are more have more priority.
yeah, for
So yeah,
sure. It's a
it makes
shame.
sense. Yeah.
What were you saying?
I said it makes sense to have that point of view from the community, but usually, I assume things will be worked on if it's brought on, or at least being discussed.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a shame to shoot that people are shooting the messenger here, because Jax obviously doesn't really have like that much impact in terms of game related stuff. He can, as you said, he can only bring it up, and it's kind of up to the team then to decide what to do with that information. And the fact that you said that it might come down the line is also very true, because obviously prioritizing certain things will always be important with upcoming patches and stuff like that. And just because there's something that is a concern now, they can't just drop everything else to fix that specific little thing, because there's hundreds of those things from different people's perspective. You know, it's you gotta try and do what's best overall for as many people as possible. And I think that's what they aim to do. It's just hard to please everyone, you know. That's just how it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, do you have any plans for the future? Perhaps a dream you'd like to chase? Now I know what your dream is. Is there something that, with this position you have now, would you like to maybe integrate that more in the future? Maybe like become a part of a bigger team, like down the line. Let's say when you're like 35 or 40. Where do you see yourself in like 10, 15 years, if you could choose yourself?
That's a very good question. It is very true. I'm studying communication, international communication, to be specific. So it's a very broad education, and I can work anywhere, corporates, gaming, education. I could work in health, whatever, because every company needs someone for communication aspects. But
True.
it depends on the experiences I have. For example, I'm applying for internships at the moment for my study, because we are required to do an internship abroad.
Yeah.
So I have to go somewhere in Europe to get an internship. That's very hard at the moment because, well, COVID. A lot of companies aren't looking for people from outside, especially outside of the country.
Yeah, that's true.
And I also have restrictions for other things. For example, I'm going to Thailand for a study exchange in my second semester next year. But Thailand starts their study a month and a half earlier than other countries. So I'm very limited in time. So instead of being able to do 6 months of an internship, I can only do 4.5, which a lot of companies don't want. So for example, I got an email earlier today. I applied for a communication internship for some food company, but because of my experiences, which is community event management, things like that, I got rejected because I don't have the preferred experience they have.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's fine, it happens. But so to say what do I want to do in the next 15 years, it's a very hard question because I don't know how things will go. I'm of course hoping that Ad Mortem will do great, and I do have confidence behind it. But after that, who knows? Maybe we'll make another game. Maybe I will join another company. I can't say for certain because I'm not someone who will look into the future and say I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that.
No.
I'm someone who lives in the moment, and while I prepare for certain aspects, I'm not looking ahead that far. So I don't know. I'd like to work still in the gaming scene, but maybe I have to do corporate because it pays better. I don't know.
Mm.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, that's fair. So this question kind of ties a little bit into what you're saying right now. So what if you could choose exactly how you want to live? Like if you said it like this hypothetically, what would the ideal life be for you? If you just could write down right now how it'd be, and tomorrow you wake up and that's your life.
Well, I guess I would want to work in gaming industry, as either for community management or another higher position. If I'd be in a bigger corporation, for example, if I would be in AAA, I might move up the ladder, something like that. I don't know, but I would like at least to work in the gaming company, in a gaming company, and I guess I would. It wouldn't matter where I live. I think I'm fine where I'm at now in the Netherlands, but maybe I'd want to move to somewhere else. That's So about that I'm not sure, but I guess I'd in a few years, if I say this is what I want, I guess have a nice house, do just financially just well. I don't want to be rich per se, just be stable,
Yeah,
be able
yeah.
to support myself, be able to support a future family, maybe have some pets, stuff like that. I
Yeah, for
think I just
sure.
want to be be well off and be able to take care of myself and whatever is gonna happen down the line.
I mean, I kind of share a little bit of the same vision with you, and like on that regard. Besides all the gaming, stuff. I mean, obviously, the ideal life for me would be like living off of streaming. That would be great. But like for me, to have a complete and like fulfilling life, having a job that I love doing, having a family, which I already have a girlfriend for like 6 years soon.
Oh, nice.
So that will come in the future, in the like near future. I'd imagine, like I'm 24, so hopefully in the next couple of years, that's gonna be stuff you're looking into. But for me, like getting a place where I can live that I'm happy with, having a stable income, having good quality of life with your job, enjoying going to work every day, being able to go home to your family. That stuff like that, is what would make me like feeling fulfilled about life. I don't care about being rich, I don't care about being famous, but if I can do what I love to do and make a living out of that, that's really just, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, indeed.
Okay. Yeah, there's pretty much, what I have to say about that.
Yeah.
Did chat have any questions? How to join Fraternian?
I don't know.
You
I'm not
can't.
part of Fraternian.
That's pretty hard, man.
Be a developer and live in Slovenia, I guess.
Slovenia?
Maybe then, yeah.
Are there many Slovenian? Obviously, wait, where's the base actually at?
Well, Merrick's was Slovenian, I think, right? A lot of the new developers are Slovenian.
Oh, really? Interesting. I didn't know that.
I think it was Slovenia. Let me check.
Umbra saying do coke. No, don't do coke. It's not good for you.
No.
Opinion on LAN chats. No, we don't like those. No, just kidding.
No clue.
Yeah. I'm actually out of questions. I don't really have anything else on the agenda right now, as of how it is right now. But if does any of you guys have any questions, anything you want to know about Silenceh, or anything regarding to his work or his plans in the future? I would have fixed the whole game, no cap. Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to see it. Just make Mordhau 2, or like make Mordheim, and just make Mordheim, and call it that. Make it. Oh wait, Mordheim is already a game, isn't it? Oh, it is. Yeah, just make Mordery or some shit like that, and then just do the entire game. You'll be sad. No, yeah, Valheim. Okay, do a game called Mordheim and show us. Well, if no one really has anything for Silenceh here, then there's not really much more. What do you do? Because I'm going to college for game development, so I'm kind of interested.
Okay, so I'm not a game developer. My current study is international communication, so I know nothing about making a game. I sometimes chime in with the lore chat, but that's about it. So really what I just do is I'll be the community manager, so I'll be the person in charge of communication and PR. So I'm not sure if I can really help you with that, Jaden, because it's not the same area. It just every company needs a communications guy, and I'm the one for Ad Mortem. That's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair response. Not gonna lie, that's kind of what I expected you to say as well. As you said, you don't really do much, or you don't do any like actual dev work, as that's not your area of expertise. So yeah. But Jaden, you said you were going to college for game development. Well, what kind of games are you looking into to doing? Now you got me intrigued.
What are you doing? Are you going for coding, or are you gonna do art or modeling or music, audio? What's it?
There's a lot of aspects actually. You can the branches you can go in.
Animation, yeah.
Well, what was exciting?
Melee games, okay. But what do you want to do? Like, do you want to make the code base of the game, or do you want to be an artist of things? What direction do you want to go? Oh, everything. Okay. I'm sure you will branch out in one of the later years, though.
Yeah, but most people do. Usually, like, they give you a basis of everything, and then you kind of choose your specific area, I'd imagine.
Okay, but you have nothing that you want to focus on yet, Jaden? You just get the basic first, and then you decide? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. There's a lot of different stuff you can do, and a lot of it is very interesting. If it was me to do it, I would probably like to do art most. To be completely honest.
It's nice, yeah. It's nice to be able to just draw what you want. Yeah.
Yeah, but also just the fact that you're creating something unique out of your own mind that then is like immortalized into a game. It's something that is very cool because the art style of a game is always something that people always look for. Great graphics and like great visual effects, or like great ideas for visuals, and something that stands out is something that a lot of people both respect and appreciate. So for me, that would be something that I would love to do. I mean, I'm as artistic as a brick, so for me it wouldn't work to be fair. But I would love to, I'd also love to be a chef, man. If I could cook like Ramsay, I'd be balling right now. But I can't. But it would be cool.
Yeah, indeed. But what was what did PT Lackey suggest then? He said,
yeah. I think I put that on that was one of before we did the podcast. I asked if there's anything you guys wanted to have on here for the questions, and I think I've asked that already.
Alright.
It was what's your experience with melee slashers?
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
We all support autistic streamers. I know, man. I have the best community.
Toxic, Umbra. Toxic.
I mean, yeah. It do be the mordhau community sometimes. If you're not getting framed a little bit by a community, are you streaming mordhau really? Is the real question.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if it's all in good sport. All right. So I think that's pretty much it. Nothing left for me to say then. Thank you again for coming on. I really enjoyed the conversation. think I learned a lot about like your plans for the future and like what it's like being a mod and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of interesting things that I have no perspective on, and that you gave me a little bit more insight to.
Yeah, no problem. It was fun.